Welcome back to Hugh Loving Life. I'm Michelle with your Spiritual Laws of Life series today. And we're continuing with the 5 spiritual laws of this world, though there are many. There are 5 major ones. This is from the Spiritual Laws of Life by Harold Klemp. It is the updated version, the most recent one. And here we are. Here we go. It says 5 spiritual laws of this world. I just get so geeked about this stuff, you guys, because I think it's really important, more important even than understanding the laws of each country. Though, of course, if you choose to live in one ethically, you are supposed to follow those laws as well. But these are spiritual laws that will serve you throughout eternity, not just in each incarnation in whatever country you choose to live in. Okay, pre-incarnation. So, these are just 5 of the many spiritual laws of this world. They are important, especially when looking at political and religious fields. So, number 1, here we go. The beginning of human life is when breath comes into the fetus. I have no more comments on that one, but I know some people are going to say, well, that's not true, but I'm just reading what I'm reading and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I think that these laws are probably very well thought out. Okay. So the beginning of human life is when breath comes into the fetus. Love is the first and great commandment, also called the rule of spiritual law. Love God, love your neighbor, and love yourself. Okay. So love is the first and biggest thing. Love yourself, love God, love your neighbor. All right. God is being first, and there is God within every single being because we are all sparks of the divine. So when you love God, you are actually loving yourself as well. Work for your food. Oh, okay. This deals with the welfare system and our responsibility to make our own way as much as we can in this world. Well, again, these are going to be controversial, apparently. I like to do this very spontaneously so that I channel whatever comes out of me, in the moment. So it's a little surprise to me, too. But I do agree that, if we are capable of working, you have arms and legs and eyes to see and such, then getting a job somewhere is a good idea instead of living off of others. I personally remember, when I was out of college having to make do myself, and I had to get my own apartment and, pay my bills myself and obviously, get a job to do all that. So that's really important. Now, if someone obviously is disabled, unable, incapable of working, that's a whole different story. There are people with different mental illnesses or different disabilities. Okay. But I think in general, they're saying, this is for people who are capable of working and who just would rather sign up for welfare. Give tribute to God and Caesar. I think that's a joke. This relates to our duty to the government regarding taxes. Okay. So, yeah, okay. Give tribute to God. You want to, donate to someone in the name of God or, your church, temple, spiritual center. But also, if you live in a country, you're not like on some remote island, okay, then there are going to be taxes that are expected to be paid. Just an unfortunate thing. Okay. Number 5, reward the laborer. This is about the government's duty to the people. Okay. Well, at least we're getting something back from the government. This is hilarious. Okay. And I proceed. The first law deals with the beginning of human life. The beginning of human life is when breath comes into the fetus. Wow. Okay. The backup for this in the Christian Bible in Genesis 2:7 says, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." The key point is, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Law number 2. Love is the first and great commandment. This law can also be called the rule of spiritual law. In Matthew 22:37 through 39, Jesus says, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love your neighbor as yourself. If the leaders and the people in a society would take these two laws to heart, this would be an entirely different place. That's a very good point. If everyone could just get along and take these laws to heart, then people would be much happier, right? Or at least much more respectful of one another. The third law deals with the welfare system. It tells about the responsibility we have to make our own way as much as we can in this world. Okay. Law number 3, work for your food. This comes from Paul in his second letter to the Thessalonians. I am quoting from the King James Version, he says. Neither did we eat any man's bread for naught, means we didn't just take somebody else's bread without doing something in return, but wrought with labor and travail night and day. We worked and did whatever we could. We did whatever our mission was. You know, this is so interesting. I have some men working outside to install some new AT&T whatever stuff, and I thought they looked cold, so I offered them some coffee. So I brewed a bunch of different coffees in my new fun fabulous machine. You guys have to get one of these push button machines that makes anything. It's so much fun. So anyway, I brought them their coffee and some snacks, and then the next thing you know, I'm like, I hear this noise because I was going to go get some more salt to melt snow. And they're actually like getting rid of the ice that was around and near my porch that had formed overnight that wasn't there yesterday. It was really bad. And they were putting a bunch of salt out for me. I thought, oh my gosh, that was so nice. I did not expect that. But I think that they were working in that concept of, well, she did something nice. We're going to do something nice for her. I thought it was just lovely. So I wanted to share that. Okay. So they did all this work night and day that we might not be chargeable to any of you, which basically means we didn't owe you anything in the way of rent or anything else. Nobody could say you didn't carry your own weight. Paul was saying we carried our own weight. And this is the tradition that we were trying to give to the rest of you. These are good principles. So I guess those 4 men understood that. It was really a nice surprise. We're addressing the welfare system, Paul continues, not because we have not power, but to make ourselves an ensample unto you to follow us. In other words, he was saying, we could be the big guys and say, we're in town, take care of us. We're going to do our preaching, feed us, give us room and board. We could have pulled rank on you and you would have had to put up with it. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to be an example for you. Then he says, for even when we were with you, this we commanded you. This is the important point. The people who are putting together legislation for the reform of the welfare system need to understand this, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. Very simple, very straightforward is what they said back in the Bible days. Then he closes, for we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies. Probably, you know, getting into trouble is what it sounds like. Law number 4 deals with our duty to the government regarding taxes and tax levies. But I want to go back to that other one first, is that, yeah, if you can do something, anything, that's amazing, you know? So I think it makes sense. Anyway, I'm sure that there'll be comments below, but again, I read this for the first time, and so don't shoot the messenger, you know. So here we go. Law number 4 deals with our duty to the government regarding tax levies. Law number 4, give tribute to God and Caesar. The Pharisees were trying to trick Jesus into making statements against the Roman government. If they could do this, they could bring the Roman government down on him and have him put in jail. So someone asked him, is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? Jesus was very sharp. He was smart. Show me a coin. They said, sure. They gave him a coin worth maybe 20 cents. Whose image is on the coin? He said. They said Caesar's. And Jesus said, render, which means give. Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's. That is so smart. And unto God the things that are God's. They marveled at how he had sidestepped their trap. Nasty Pharisees. Okay. They're trying to trap him. Law number 4 was about the people's duty to the government. Law number 5 is about the government's duty to the people. This is one that government officials like to forget about. Oops. When they forget about it and take more than their due through taxes, they enslave the people that they are ruling. True. I mean, minimum wage is a joke, okay? It should be more, but I'm not going to go off on a tangent. If you don't have money in a society, you have no freedom. Law number 5, reward the laborer. In 1 Timothy 5:18, Paul says, "Thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn, and the laborer is worthy of his reward." Paul tried to explain the same concept to the Corinthians in another letter. He quotes this law again: "Thou shalt not muzzle the mouth of the ox that treadeth out the corn." Here's the whole purpose of incentive of why people work: that he that ploweth should plow in hope, and that he that thresheth in hope should be partaker of his hope. 1 Corinthians 9:9 through 10. If you're plowing and somebody demands that you give your entire crop to Caesar, there's no incentive for you to work. Why would you? If you're just going to give it all away in taxes, right? That's what they used to do in the Soviet Union. People didn't work, and today there is no Soviet Union. It was a government trying to enslave its people. The government said, "Don't worry about things, we'll take care of you." And all they did was suppress and make slaves of their people. Socialism is the same as communism, just not quite as strong yet. I think there's a warning there. We have to look out for the spiritual freedom involved in these laws that are reflected in the Christian Bible. Okay, you guys, whoa. That was pretty heady. Usually I just talk spirituality, but and this is a spiritual law, okay? So, come to your own conclusions, whether you believe it or not. And I will ponder what I believe too, because, Eckankar at least is not about being told what to think in any way, shape, or form. It's all about contemplation. I just made a video on that today in my daily quotes section. So, how do you feel about those 5 spiritual laws? And are you abiding by them? So I hope you have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe and check out my other playlists if you would like. Lots of love, you guys. Take care.